Okay, cool. We're streaming now. All right, you can go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're going to be discussing the front end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If I mean, and feel free to finish introducing each other
Oh,
as well. Of course, I don't want to rush.
oh.
I was just going
Aman.
to. I can introduce Aman a bit too.
Yeah.
Actually, I know him because I studied in the Netherlands with his older brother,
Oh,
and so we've been friends for a few years, and then Aman just got in touch with me, and yeah, to work on GitWit maybe like a month ago,
oh, that's nice.
and so he's been working on that while he was also working on awesome drone projects
One
back at
second.
home, and yeah, so
Yeah,
he
so apart from like what I'm working on GitWit right now, I've also been working at Project Manas. So we are like a AI robotics team. So we
Mm-hmm.
have like two projects that we worked on in the past year and past 2 years. So it's like one of them is an autonomous drone. We come to the US every year for two competitions, IGVC and SUAS. So
Oh,
these are like two. One is an autonomous drone competition, and one is a autonomous UGV competition. So yes, I'm also working as like a part of the student project. As I'm the technical head of the student project right now, alongside this. Yeah.
oh,
So
that's
that's
actually interesting.
yes, that's the work I've done over the past 2 years, mostly in robotics. That's why I was like, I think I'm interested in like more inclined towards robotics and ML and computer vision and like dev. I'm exploring this year more so.
So, about me, I just completed my bachelor's in like 2023, May of 2023, and then I came directly to the US in this spring actually. So it's been on almost 3 months. And since then, like, I didn't do any internship or anything, but I was working as a front-end developer in a company back in my hometown. And then I during my like undergrad, and then I directly came here. So yeah, that's me. And I'm just starting in this ML and AI field. So yeah, I'm pretty new to this thing, but I really find this GitWit really interesting. So I just contacted James, and yeah, I'm here.
yeah. So let's see. Initially, GitWit was like supposed to be an agent that could write any type of code, and then it narrowed down as I got more feedback. It narrowed down into like this editor, which is good for now. It's good for front end, but I mean it could be back end as well. It could be full stack. Um, I was working on initially like the front end and the back end of GitWit itself, but like the editor and then the code generation. Aman has been kind of contributing significantly to like the code generation part, and he's got like a pretty good mind for that. He's been thinking about that. It's really a lot of experimentation, um, way more than other types of. But as you know from working in robotics, it's like just
Yeah.
about trying stuff more
Yeah.
than it is about having the perfect. And then on the front end, um, yeah, Akhilesh and I also talked about some different ideas. So the idea was to probably go through the front end stuff today more than the back end stuff. Although we can do more calls like this.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Cool.
Oh,
Uh,
also, just to mention to
yeah.
affiliate, I do before I get to it, I do not have any experience in full stack development, not front end, not back
That's
end.
okay.
But
That's okay.
after I joined, I kind of like I didn't know JavaScript either, and I've just been using LLMs to generate the code and testing it out, and just like kind of using like just like trying to engineer it. But I do not know like formal full stack development before
And
this.
that's okay. That same for me and the back end thing, like the LLM and everything. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm a newbie. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that's what I think this that like showcases our tool as well. That like LLM code generate using LLMs, we can generate the code and work on a product that's
yeah,
capable. Yeah, while not formally knowing. For yeah,
everything. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. All right. Yeah,
You'll get a lot better at it very fast. Hopefully
yeah,
by
hopefully.
working hopefully by working in a group we can like fix problems faster and
yeah.
Yeah, I
layering.
feel like every time I've gotten on a call with you, James, it's like it's helped me accelerate like my learning in full stack. So similarly,
Yeah,
if we all work together, we can all like contribute to
Yeah,
each
we
other.
can learn new things together
Yeah,
and just expedite our learning curve.
yeah,
cool. Yeah, awesome. And I'm happy to also, if we need more help, maybe I can figure out who's the right people to ask and bring them on if
Yeah.
necessary. But yeah, I think we can do a lot. So cool. I will start today. What do you think is the most helpful? That I just kind of walk through and explain how the
Yeah,
editor works?
yeah, I think that's the best thing.
We
That's the
have
best part.
we have plenty of time. Um,
Yeah, actually, it's for me, it's 2:10, and I've got a class at 3:30.
okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure. The same.
an
So
hour, an hour is enough. We can discuss a lot in an
yeah,
hour.
yeah.
yeah, I think that's hopefully we should be able to get through the whole code base. So let me just open it up on GitHub. Are you did I add everyone to
Yeah,
no
I'm
because he's running it.
sorry.
Uh,
So,
Also, James, do you want to put your screen on here and just like make it smaller so that we can like see your
Yeah.
screen as
here, I
well?
think this is it.
Yeah,
Oh
thank you.
yeah, yeah. That's it.
How's that? Small enough.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's
Cool. So everybody's in here, I think.
Yeah, I'm in GitWit client and then a Firebase also.
Perfect. Oh yeah, Firebase. That might be a good place to start as well. Who's used Firebase before?
I did.
You have? Okay, cool. Yeah. Um, yeah, Firebase is just a database that's pretty easy to work with. Um, so the the setup for this is actually we have a Firebase instance, the backend, which is what we've been working on, Clerk. There's a diagram as well in one of the videos that shows how all this connects. Um, I should probably find that one because that one's really helpful. Do you remember which video that was?
I think it was the one right before. It was the one after I made my video. I think this
This
one. Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that one. Yeah.
This one that got
I
a ton of views, but I didn't really know.
I
Um,
watched this one as well.
okay, good. So you recognize the
That's
um,
the next one. Yeah. This one.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly this one.
Yeah. So basically, this is all the back end here. And
Hmm.
then Firebase is interesting because we can connect it directly through the front end. And the clerk is not really necessary, but what clerk really does is it has this really nice sign in
Yeah.
interface. And clerk um, is just a sign-in authentication API that handles lost passwords and changing passwords
Yeah.
for
So
us.
we do not have to use the Firebase authentication thing.
And it's synchronized with Firebase authentication.
Yeah,
Uh,
the menu it's just does it automatically.
yeah. I if I sign in, it will show everyone's emails and stuff. But basically, I'm still deciding how I feel about Clerk because um, it's really nice, but it also adds another interface to the whole project.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're stuck with it now. So, and it looks good. So
Yeah, it
then
does.
there's also, I believe, staging.gitwit.dev. And this is a clone of gitwit.dev. And we have 28 branches, so I should clean some of these up. But if we push to staging, then it will go to staging. It's that simple. Does that make sense to you, Aman?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So I
Staging
did.
is this another is this another what is it called? As in,
Deployment.
is this another repository inside GitWit client, or
Yeah, exactly. It's another branch.
it's another
Okay.
branch? Yeah.
Yeah,
So why is the just separate? Is this the one that we test
It's
on?
yeah.
okay.
Okay.
It's a testing branch.
Okay.
Okay.
So any changes that we make will be put onto this. Is this also hosted somewhere, or is this local?
It's just like it's hosted on the same place,
Okay.
but just as a complete separate instance.
Mm-hmm.
But it's connected to the same Firebase.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So
So if you want to test it, can we launch it ourselves?
yes. So if you will push any changes to, let's say I can open my Git and kind of show you how I would do that. But if you would push any changes, you know how now you're working on a separate branch.
Yeah.
If you'll merge that branch into main,
Hmm.
it'll automatically update the web app. If you
Yeah.
merge that into staging, it'll automatically update staging.
Oh, so it's
Okay.
a totally separate things just for testing and everything. So it
Yeah,
doesn't interact with the like middle with the main thing.
Okay.
yeah. And
And
that's
then
so that
once we've tested out staging, we push on to the
Yeah.
main. That's
yeah.
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know how much time is the best to give it, but like a day or so is normally pretty good at the pace we're working at. See what breaks. So that's that. And so yeah, here you just merge from development to staging,
Staging and then main.
and the whole setup. I should probably put a bit more into here and how to set it up, but basically, you just need to download, create a .env file, and then add this for clerk. These are both public, so there's nothing. Everything here is public because it's just a React application. There's no backend to it. So these two, I mean, I just give to you, and then running yarn, yarn install and yarn start, and that's it. So I can. Have you got this running, Akhilesh?
No, I just wanted to understand the code first, and then
Sure. Yeah,
yeah,
that's fine. I just
I
wanted
was
to see
just
if there was if anything goes wrong at all when you run this, just let me know.
yeah, I'll let you know. I'll
'Cause
probably run this after my class today.
one of the most helpful things with getting Amman started with my code is like everything that broke when he tried to go through the instructions and then figuring out, oh, either the code is wrong or the instructions are wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool. Let me switch into getting this open in VS Code and make sure it's all up to date. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. I'll switch to my so nope. Cool. Okay. So yeah, I'll just start with. I'll close a bunch of stuff. There's stuff in this that I'm proud of, and then there's a couple things that I'm not so proud of. But overall, there's a lot of good stuff in here. So I just start with the package.json.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ignore this. I should rename this to GitWit client. That name, and then there's a few scripts here that are a little bit out of the ordinary. I believe that running yarn start should actually be enough to get it to work. The reason why we have the special Sandpack commands, the most important dependency of the GitWit client is Sandpack, and I think I might have shown it to you.
Yeah, we just talked about it.
Yeah, and so Sandpack is really powerful, but it's pretty tricky to work with, and most of the tricky parts of the code come to that. But at some point, I started to fork Sandpack. The only really useful, the only useful thing that I did, well, there are some parts of this code which are very ugly because basically trying to understand how Sandpack works. And I can give you some examples of that as well. So here, let me actually share this screen. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we also have this like Sandpack. I changed one thing in Sandpack, and I changed this interface here so that we can sort of modify this to have
Then
menus.
Wait,
But
so
really,
is Sandpack responsible for this UI?
yeah.
What is
So
Sandpack exactly?
yeah. So what Sandpack has so much in it, and that's where things get a little bit messy. Is figuring out what we should do with Sandpack and what we should do ourselves. But if we
Okay.
look in the docs for Sandpack, you'll see a little bit of what it can do. This is what it is.
Oh.
Is
So you can like run JavaScript code right inside the browser.
yeah, in any JavaScript code. So
Oh.
we can run Next.js as well inside the browser with this.
So then where does E2B come in? I thought we were running our code as playgrounds on E2B.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so this does not use E2B. E2B E2B is a container that runs on the back end. And we use that just for React eval for
Okay.
testing things. But here's the thing. E2B containers take about 1 minute to run. Whereas this is running instantly.
yeah, it's running on the client, right?
Because it's
And
running.
the processing power for this is running on like the
Locally.
device itself
Yeah,
locally. Okay.
yeah. So that's why Sandpack is like so interesting. Like just for like an example, like if you will go to Replit and open a new project on Replit, like let's say we want to make like a new Node.js project here. Notice it, like it's booting.
Oh yeah,
And this whole process takes like 20-30 seconds because it's happening on the server side.
Yeah.
makes
But
sense. Yeah,
we don't need to wait for that.
it's just there. Yeah.
And that's because of Sandpack. It's pretty interesting. I guess.
And how does this scale with bigger applications?
Yeah, I think it does okay. So it uses WebAssembly inside the web browser, and it basically just uses RAM on the user's computer.
With most modern browsers, that's fine, right? Because I mean, it should be fine with bigger applications as well.
With a full
I'm not
stack,
sure how.
yeah, I think for most apps that people want to make, that shouldn't be an issue.
For just a React project,
Yeah.
it should be fine.
Yeah, like I'm trying
So
to
from what I know about React, mostly React is used to like make separate elements or like some subparts of that are then imported into like a bigger full stack project,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So in that case, then we can just people will mostly make like separate modules that they'll use the code for into their other projects, right?
Yeah. They can
this,
do that, or just they can, like, for example, they can also build a full website on React also. So for
Okay.
that things, I think this is fine. Like this will work mostly in
yeah.
any browser.
The slowest
Okay.
part tends to be as normal, like when it installs new dependencies. So yeah, we can do like, this is how you would normally add stuff.
Yeah.
This, and I think that just installed right away. So normally it should take some time to do that. And I think also if you would put in something, I was expecting it to maybe give an error.
So, what's some issues that you think we might have to face in the long run with Sandpack? Like, let's say
Oh
we
yeah.
stick with Sandpack.
So yeah, you might even be able to guess some of them already, but I think the biggest issue is, well, there's a few. One is just state management, because it has its own way of like storing data, and we have to hook into things if we want to know when something changes. We have to sort of watch Sandpack. So that makes our code a little bit messier. But I
Yeah.
think the bigger thing is like the interface. So
So
um,
with
yeah,
Sandbag, like we can change the interface, right? So this is running on Sandbag, right? So there's a code on the left side, and then right side it's running uh, on the browser. So we can change the interface with
yeah,
the yeah.
yeah.
Also,
So
James, do you remember the one thing that we discussed where like I was trying to add multiple files into the project directory? Is that also something related to Sandpack that we'd have to like? Remember we were like discussing how maybe the directory structure doesn't actually work, and if you add multiple files, it doesn't really like work with bigger projects. Let's say you scale it up. And one more thing is you can't add folders into this right now. So stuff like that. Does Sandpack scale well with that? We're doing
we
that.
we can do that. We can add folders.
Can
That's
we add photos right now? Okay,
that's
right
just
now
the
it's not there
interface.
any option.
I just
Okay.
didn't add that in this interface.
Okay. But
Um,
multiple files do work, right?
yeah, that works fine. Like we can look at some more examples that they have here. And basically there's examples of like, yeah, I see here. So this is React,
Mm-hmm.
but they also have Vue. This is not showing.
Do you know of any like the other products that have used Sandbag for like making a like a IDE web browser IDE for React?
I know I've heard of one that has. It I mean it comes from Code Sandbox originally. These are the guys that made it. It's like a Replit alternative based in Amsterdam. Um, but
Wait, so all of the code for this IDE runs locally using Sandbag?
well, they created Sandpack, but they're actually now going more towards cloud deployed environments, which run slower. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I don't know a lot that are using Sandpack, but that would be interesting actually to look. Yeah.
Okay, but it is capable, right? I mean, with knowing what you know about it, it is capable of making an IDE that would work well.
It's working so far.
It's going right now,
Okay, so
yeah. Could
uh,
we could there be any possibilities of like let's say GitWit grows in size and we have more complicated parts like backend code running. So
yeah.
some of the backend code that's not immediately reacting, we have it running on a cloud-based hosting, and then we have the other front end elements running
Right, right, right.
through Sandpack.
yeah.
Is that possible? That's
Yeah, so one thing that I do want to point out is like we have right now this thing called like, well, I have to sign in first to show. Um, but we have this instant we have this feature launch, right?
Mm-hmm. So,
This should not be running in Sandpack, but it is. This should be this should be a compiled application that people can run. And the reason is like look how slow it is to load Nothing.
Where is it? Where is this compiled?
It's not compiled. It's just a
It's
sandbox.
just
Okay, it's
okay.
just in Sandpack right now, but it's supposed to be on like a cloud-based backend and then showing up here, right? That's
So
what
it's
you're
just
saying.
deploying on like whatever the code is. It's directly deploying with the Sandpack, right?
Yeah, and the reason why
Okay.
that's not good is well, there's the first is that it's slow, but then the other is that you can see if someone wants to, they'll be able to see the source code, the original source code
Oh,
of the application,
okay.
um, just by looking in here. So I mean, it's pretty simple right now. But here,
Mhm.
like, if you will look through here, you will find here. You see all the code for the application. So this is so ideally what everyone else would do would be you would compile this into JavaScript and yeah, and then you would allow people to even like connect their custom domains to this. I would love that. I'm running, like, for example, my website that I have now, like that's my personal website. Like that's I made this with GitWit, but then what I
Mhm.
do is I download it, then I compile it, and then I upload it on Netlify. But if this were faster, and it could just be one step, right?
Do you have
Yeah.
tutorials right now on how you made your own website?
Sorry.
Do you have tutorials anywhere on how you made your own website?
It's like this. I just prompted here,
Yeah.
then I click download, and then I will go to terminal. Um,
Because I've been wanting to make my own portfolio website for a while,
well,
and maybe
I
I could
wouldn't
make it through
copy.
Fitbit.
I wouldn't copy mine. I made it in half an
No,
hour.
no. Okay, no, I just want to make what I could make it through GitWit is what I'm asking, is that right?
Yeah, and then
Yeah, you can.
I did yarn, and then I did
Yeah,
yarn
this is what
fill.
we did with like the template as well, right? What you're basically saying, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then once that's built, actually, even without building it, you can also connect it to Netlify, and Netlify will build it for you. So what all we would need to do for that would be we would just need to sync this up with GitHub.
Okay.
So like I could show, for example, like what's an example of a project that I have? I think maybe this, maybe yeah. So this one was generated with GitWit, and actually and so what I have now is I haven't built anything. I just copied this new directory into a GitHub repository, and then on Netlify, I just have all I did on Netlify was I click sync with GitHub, then I selected that repository,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
and then this is the project. It's just a Google Doc. It's just a page that syncs with a Google Doc, and then you have like a link to Stripe to access it. This was a demo that I was working on with someone. So I made this whole thing in GitWit, and now, but the thing is, if I want to update this in GitWit, I would go back here. Can I even find it? I have to find it and then download again and then upload onto here. The rest is synced.
Is there a search bar in the projects right now?
No. This is a
Okay,
mess.
so we need to
I think we should note
streamline
stuff
this,
like
yeah.
this down. Yeah, I think we should note stuff like this down because
I
that
am
would help, right?
yes. And
We need to make a compiled
Yeah,
list with this, like organize it a
yeah,
little bit.
and
yeah, I'm trying to take a
I am
few
the
like I'm
biggest.
trying to take minutes. I'll put them down in the group. I've
Okay.
only written like a few stuff. Like one is this issues with Sandpack, the thing we discussed. Then we need to add a search bar in the projects tab. And also at the end, like can we have like 15-20 minutes where James will go over remember we discussed some ideas for the front end that one
Yeah.
time? Yeah, with how we want to integrate code development and like you can drag and drop on the UI. So we'll discuss that with Akhilesh as well once at the end.
Yeah, let's make sure we do that.
Yeah.
We'll just make a list of everything that we're gonna build,
Yeah.
and then we can do it one by one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because me and James were discussing that other day. So we were working on the back end, and then we were discussing about how we would link it, and we had a lot of ideas for the front end. Like there's a lot of work that can be like done on this, like to make the experience better for coding. So yeah, we'll discuss that at the end once we
Yeah,
would have done
yeah,
the review for the code.
Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Now that we've sort of introduced this, why these steps were here, they were basically so that I could make changes to Sandpack. But right now, we've gotten away so far without changing Sandpack. Let me just go through, and then that's why this directory is here. But I think it should work fine without, just by linking to it through the dependencies. So as far as the actual source code goes, these config files here, I don't think there's anything super interesting here. The source code gets interesting as soon as, I also don't think there's anything interesting in public. I think we start with app.tsx. And so this is basically, it's not a super large file, but basically it's doing some routing, and it's parsing this URL, and okay, this whole thing I did here, we're not really using it right now. I can remove it. I might actually remove this. I made a demo, and I don't even know if I can find it right now. But basically, what it was is it's an app. It allows you to import a Google Sheet. Oh, it's called mysheets.app, and it actually still works. It's kind of cool.
Okay.
But basically, what it does is you can make a Google. You can take a Google Sheet and you know, and then you can just
Great, you remember my age.
You can, but I don't want to spend too much time on this right now because it's really a side thing. Like that's, but just to explain like why this is there, I did this experiment where like you could sort of generate a React app based off of a spreadsheet.
Oh.
It's kind of cool demo, right? But
it's super.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is super.
It's kind of cool demo, but it's just a
That's
bit of,
actually pretty cool.
it's
Yeah.
out of the side. It's kind of a side thing right now.
Wait, so what's the backend for this? Does it just take the data from the sheet and then put it into the prompt?
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Is
now-
it a separate prompt or is it a similar prompt to index? Like the one in index right now?
Actually, it's really similar. It's really similar.
Okay. So wait, is this through the same existing backend? Or is this
It's
is
the
the prompt that's
exact
passed
same
into?
backend. Exact same backend.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean it's pretty interesting what it does. I think there's potential there, but
Yeah, definitely. Like this is the kind of stuff that we were discussing. Remember, like with drag and dropping applications from. Yeah.
But
This has a lot of applications, I guess.
I'd like to get some more people's feedback on this.
Yeah, so based on this, so one of the ideas that we discussed, me and James discussed was so if you checked out the GitWit page, we have components that GitWit is compatible with. So there's a lot of components. Can you show him that once?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's a lot of components here that it's compatible with. So what we were thinking was that in the UI for GitWit, can you open the UI once?
What should I open?
I mean the GitWit development UI.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so in this, if there was like a plus, like plus or add button, and then you could just like select from a list of components and then drag that into the right side,
Yeah,
and then it would just integrate into the code that you already have.
that's
Yeah.
actually pretty.
So,
That would be actually pretty cool
yeah.
thing to do.
I think there's a lot to that. I'm teaching people how to build apps, and the two most popular tools, actually the three most popular tools for people that don't know how to code very well, are Webflow, Bubble, and Flutterflow, and all three of these are very similar in that sense,
So
where
drag and drop based.
Yeah, the drag and drop. Yeah,
yeah, where you have on the left side you have
Yeah.
this, and then you drag it
Yeah.
all.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
I mean, at the end, if we have something like that into GitWit as well, that would be great, right?
Or we can like make a separate component well with the prompt as well. Like we
Yeah.
can tell it
Because one of the
specifically, and then we can
limitations
drag and drop. Yeah.
one of the limitations of GitWit right now is like once you generate like multiple pages or like one page with multiple components, to change the locations of individual components, it's very hard to pass in a prompt where you say move this to this side or to
Yeah.
like specific areas that how you would want it. And with front end, that's really important because you want to be able to customize how it looks, right?
I actually faced this when I was making a simple cafe website. I wanted to move the menu up and down, and then it was very like
Yes,
I needed
you need to
to
pass in multiple prompts
pass a
onto
lot
them.
of prompts.
And
Yeah, then it did.
if you know about the backend, then the thing is with the prompts that we're passing in, every time you pass in a prompt, it's giving the entire code with it's giving the
Oh,
entire code with your modification,
with
and
your
then it's getting that. So there's no
oh,
memory
okay.
of what you've done in the past iterations.
Oh, okay,
That
okay.
makes it kind of much harder for the LLM also to understand what you want to do.
Yeah, so it's just
Yeah.
passing everything once, and then it looks through everything and then tries to add.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it
yeah,
We actually want to try and move into this side, like what we were discussing. Yeah, that we will have some kind of memory or history that we can represent about the current like
mhm.
project, and then that
Yeah.
can be used for further prompts. But
yeah,
that's kind of hard to do right now because we don't know what exactly we need to encode.
Mhm. So
yeah.
for now, it's using like the OpenAI API. So it's gonna be so it's just like that, or is there any option to do that?
There's something, James. This is something I want to discuss with you. There's something really cool that one of my so I have a senior here who didn't graduate, who dropped out because he was running bug base. So this is like this is it's doing really well right now. If you want to look it up right now, it's like so basically it's like you know how there's I forgot what it's called. So yeah, pen testing, right? Penetration testing.
Yeah.
So they made like this local version of there's this one company that's like famous for doing this. So they like hire hackers who would pen test your website, and then you could like get them through this platform. So they made that for like the local market in India, and it's done really well. And right now they're
Cool.
working on this one thing called it's called Pentest Copilot, and I think they're the one of the first people to try doing this. So
Oh,
they're
that's
trying to
cool.
make like an IDE. So if you just search a Pentest Copilot, could you stream this? So I could see this. Actually, I haven't seen the whole thing, but I know the people have talked to them, and then they were doing something similar with what we're discussing right now. So just look up Pentest Copilot, yeah. Just Pentest Copilot by this
Bug
bug base,
base. Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's
add in bug base, yeah, that, yeah. So basically, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make like this environment where you can do penetration testing with through LLMs, where like you just need to have the logic behind penetration testing, and you can use LLMs for all of the tasks that you would do. So they are also using on the backend OpenAI and like basically API calls. But they're also, so from what I discussed with the person, he didn't tell me the entirety because he said it's like it's their IP and they don't want to discuss all of it. But basically, they said that they for every project or every penetration test iteration that they have like they have like this database that they maintain where it's specific to every project, some kind of feature vector or embedding for that
Mhm.
so every time there's a new
Yeah.
prompt or something that's passed, they refer to that, they create a
oh
prompt
okay.
based on that, and then they pass it on to the API. So that
Okay.
way, you're not like passing a new prompt every time. So we could
Got
try
it.
something like that with GetWit maybe.
Sure. Yeah, and I can also look into some open source projects.
That
It's
do
definitely
this.
not just closed source people that are doing this.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I'm pretty sure this
Yeah, yeah.
people have done
There
this.
must be
Yeah,
some open source thing
we can
also.
look around.
yeah,
I'm sure that there's more, and maybe even OpenDevin, which is like
yeah,
the top
yeah.
trending. on GitHub right now. Anyways, let's come back to this in a future meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to explain why that's there, but I may just remove it for now because it's a little bit, or just put some comments saying that's what this is. But there is right now, what happens when you create a new project and you are not, okay, so I just signed out and actually my existing project stayed. So that's kind of I think that's a good thing. But let's say I'm not signed in and I make a new project. Actually, it should save this project. It doesn't save. Okay, so it doesn't save it right now, so you can open it in a new window. If you're not signed in, I don't think so. But what it does do is if I then sign in or create an account, it actually will migrate it into
To that account.
my account. And that was kind of annoying to do, because you're going to Clerk website and then coming back. So there's a little, it's not hacky, but it's not the most beautiful thing where basically stuff gets stored in your local storage temporarily. I won't go into like all the details of everything right now. We can do that other. Then we check and see, okay, are we looking at a template? Is this supposed to be is this like a deployed project where we just want to show the project full screen, or do we want to show the editor on the left side and then the project on the right side? That's basically the difference. And then the editor basically goes to this project editor component.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in Sandpack has to go inside of this invisible Sandpack provider. This project template dot options like goes to this constant, which is the template. So the blank project template gets passed into Sandpack. And like it's kind of weird. Like I'd actually rather just like set those files when the page loads, but this works better for Sandpack.
It
And
directly just takes this and then just shows the default thing.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But that also means that like when we load an existing project, we are basically overwriting the defaults. So like it might show this for like half a second and then show, but that's just how it is right now. There's no way to like with Sandpack, as far as you know, there's no way to give like a blank directory for it to start from. It has to start from something. Yeah, little
So
quirky things. Yeah.
this is the only way that we can do it, or like passing this default file into the basic thing. Sorry, default thing, or we can also pass like the folders that is showing in the.
Yeah, so we can also update them after everything loads. We can also update the files after everything loads.
Okay.
But if we don't pass anything in, then it will actually use like a different template. I can't just get it to load nothing.
Okay, so we need to pass something. Okay.
Yeah, this recompile delay is quite interesting. That means that it will wait it'll wait 1 second to actually recompile. And before I had this, whenever you would generate code, it would be recompiling like multiple times a second, and it would be showing syntax errors constantly.
Oh, yeah.
So amazingly, when I added this 1 second delay, like because it just starts to wait until it finishes, and that's way better.
Yeah,
Can
so
we like upload build projects into this, like existing React projects into this, into GitWit right now?
Can we upload existing React projects into GitHub?
Like, as in, if I have my own React project, can I upload it?
No. People have asked for this. Technically, it's very doable. The
I think
one
we
thing.
can,
Mhm.
yeah. I
Sorry,
think we
go
can
ahead.
just we can just use a GitHub repository and then
Yeah.
directly just load that
The
into
backend would
GitWit.
get like a lot more complicated though with that because editing the code would become we would have to work with this a lot anyways because right now we only can edit one file. That's what we've been trying to do
Right.
for a
Oh,
long
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
I think integrating Git integration with GitWit
Yeah,
is pretty. So
that would make it a really powerful product actually.
so there's a reason why it's called GitWit. I won't go into the whole story of why it doesn't integrate with Git right now, but basically things just got a little busy. But the reason why it's called GitWit is that Git is the most powerful tool and it's the most, for collaborating on code with other people, and it's also used by 90% of like software development projects. So integrating with Git is I think key. Um, it just is like a little bit of work. Um,
Okay.
Another thing just to consider there is that when we do start integrating people's existing projects, we have to be a lot more sensitive about privacy,
Yeah,
because now we're not being that careful with like how stuff is stored and security, because people are just creating demo toy projects. But if someone links to their company's GitHub account and then some stuff goes, you know,
yeah. We need to be very careful with
it's
that if
way different. So
integrate that in this.
so we might still want to hold off on connecting to existing GitHub repositories um, for a bit. So
Yeah. I mean, we could. I mean, there could be like quarantined areas of code or quarantined parts which you could link
yeah,
with this, or when you link with this, you have quarantined parts that you don't directly link with all the parts. But yeah, I think that is so. Were you initially was your idea to have this work with with GitHub repositories, and you can like cloud, you can edit it over the cloud, and multiple teams can collaborate on the same project? Was that like the idea that you wanted to go with?
that would be great. I mean, just integrating with Git already means that your
Yeah.
GitWit project
Okay. Yeah.
can be
But
deployed to Netlify, which is huge, right?
Mm.
yeah.
Um, so I think that's important, but I also think making it reliable and easy to use is important.
So on that path, this next step has to be to get the backend working with multiple code files, right? That's the problem that I was facing with. So remember how after I made the whole modularized thing, I knew that even if the problem with putting it into deployment right now is even if I do get the entirety of it working reliably, which I have right now, we can't put it into deployment because essentially after you have modularized your code files, you're kind of locking the project because you can't put in prompts and change the code anymore because all of the code is split into multiple files and right now the backend doesn't have access to passing all of those multiple files right now. We need to get that working to
Well,
have modularized working, right?
let's just go to that this diagram here.
Yeah.
So right now the client goes to this, makes the request to the server. The server
Hmm.
sends the code back to the client, and then the client then saves the code to GitWit Firebase.
Yeah, but right now this is for just one file, right?
Yeah, but you can also do this with multiple files. There's actually it does this with two files. It does this with the file that you're editing, and it does
Okay.
it with package.json, right?
Okay. Yeah. The one that we're adding the dependencies into.
Yeah, so there's no reason why you can't do this with many files. Um,
Okay.
there are advantages to um, directly as the projects grow bigger. There would be advantages to going directly to the editing on the cloud. But I don't think it's that bad to do it this way that we have now, because it basically means that it also opens possibilities. This is future stuff, but also opens possibilities of having like an offline editor, right? Just a thought.
The, yeah. As in an
Like,
offline editor which accesses the Firebase.
um, Yeah, I mean, in theory, that's more of a conceptual.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I understand what you mean. So, yeah, you mean like, yeah. So instead of using like what Sandpack, we could use more powerful tools for a application that you could run that is accessing Firebase for the projects, and then the servers. Then we could run more complicated UI on the front end.
Yeah. So yeah, actually, right now, I mean, I'm just thinking about this right now. But actually, right now, if you had replaced GitWit server with a local LLM, like Llama,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
in theory, GitWit could run offline. So that's kind of an interesting
Mm.
USP that I never thought of. Anyways, but it's just the pros and cons of this architecture. So this project,
It's
yeah,
very
go on.
cool. Running GitWit locally entirely.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting idea. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
it
gonna
is.
try that.
at that point it might be yeah, at that point I'm not sure what you should do. Maybe you should fork something like VS Code or fork this new VS Code that's written in Rust, this new VS Code competitor that's written in Rust. But
Okay, yeah. And we'll see. We'll think about that later. Okay, let's go with the front end right now.
so the project editor here. So if I dig into this is where things do start to get a bit large. So this is one of the largest files. And I've got a lot of stuff in here. Basically, we are using from Sandpack a bunch of hooks that basically allow us to watch the editor state, modify the editor state, change the files. Auth allows us to see if the user is actually logged in,
Logged in, yeah.
and this editor component here. This is the actual this is I believe this is just the text editor component, and
Yeah.
you see we have this thing like highlight line,
Other lines, yeah.
and just like a really simple function to guess which lines were added. And then once we figure out which lines, so comparing the new state with the old state,
Yes, with also, yeah.
see which lines were added, pass those into here, and the Sandpack code editor is actually, I think it's using Code Mirror by default, which is Code Mirror. We can see that just by looking in the Sandpack source code. At some point when you're trying to figure out how stuff works, you always end. Yeah, here it is, right here, Code Mirror. So I'm no longer in GitWit source code. I've now gone into Sandpack source code. What I do is I just command click on things until I get there. So I was in project editor, and then I went to editor and I command click on this, and then when I see Sandbox code editor, which is imported from Sandbox,
yeah.
command click on this. Now I'm actually in Code Sandbox code, and then that's using Code Mirror, which is an open source editor. So it just shows how many layers there are here, and then this is Code Mirror.
So is Code Mirror just the text editor?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an open source text editor that has highlighting.
Highlighting the color highlighting, like okay.
Yeah, it has syntax highlighting. What it does not have is row highlighting, and that's why in order to make the row highlighting work, which is like one of the things that GitWit has that like is kind of
really nice. When
the
code is being generated, the green part.
Yeah, that is the main thing. Yeah,
It's really impressive, actually.
it looks cool, and it's actually unfortunately surprisingly hard to do, because in order to get this to work, I actually had to make an extension for Code Mirror. And Code Mirror is not even really React JavaScript. It's just like JavaScript that's wrapped in React, and it's very. I didn't honestly. This code. This is it. Show stripes.ts. I don't
Are
know
there
how.
any
I don't know how.
alternatives to Code Mirror?
Yeah, but not good enough.
Okay. Okay.
this is where we're basically open source stuff starts to be, show its show the cracks.
Okay.
You find. Do you know this? Do you know this XKCD meme about? Here it is. I'm gonna show this. It's amazing. Have you ever seen?
Oh, I saw this. This I saw yesterday,
Have you ever
but
seen
not
this
on.
meme? You just saw this yesterday.
I saw this for autopilots. If you know about autopilots, there's PX4 and Ardupilot. Similar case with there's just two for PX4. There's just two major autopilots, and yeah, it's similar. I saw this picture yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is kind of where it becomes a little bit wildly like Code Mirror is hard to work with, but everyone does it because there's not an alternative.
Okay.
Anyway,
And is the Code
Mhm.
Mirror open source?
yeah, it's all open source. That's good. The license is
Okay.
open source.
I
And
mean,
it
then this is pretty fine, right? Like this works reliably right now.
Yeah. So just don't touch this.
If you want to, actually, do you mind if I interrupt? I want to remember what we discussed, James. So let's say you have existing code and you have like a UI built. So one
Yeah.
thing that we were thinking of, let's say I just want to change one text of a label of a button, or just one text that I have of some specific part of the document. So instead of writing the entire prompt for that, or like telling to specifically change that, I can just imagine if I could just click the right side, and then that would highlight the code editor, like that specific element in the code editor, like some other color, like yellow or something, and we could just change the code ourselves manually in there.
Yeah. That's amazing. If we can get
Yes.
that working.
So that
Yeah,
would that be
that
hard to
would be
do with?
amazing. Yeah.
Would that be
I
hard to do with the current setup?
think that's the future. Someone's gonna do it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
One of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
it will be. So for sure. Yeah, so I think maybe 15 more minutes we have
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a few comments from the viewers. Om says keep it up.
Where are these viewers on YouTube?
Rajat,
Yeah.
or they might
Wow.
have either from YouTube or maybe from the Discord. And then
It's on YouTube, I guess.
Rajat says looks cool. What are you building? Well, you can check it out. It's at GitWit.
Ruther, oh, that's one of my friends. I just came from, yeah, I was with him right now.
So, and yeah, I think the main reason I wanted just to stream this is so we always have as much understanding of the code base as possible.
Yeah, yeah. Plus, if Achilles knows, we've been trying to, so like we're trying to build in public basically everything that we think, or like every prototype that we have, we just try and make videos on it, so we keep track of like the entire process of our development.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I've been seeing those videos as well, like on the YouTube, right? Yeah.
Did you see the ones I made? Because
Yeah.
this is my first time working on anything like this.
Yeah.
So this was like a
I
big new
I
experience
saw
for me.
your modularization video. It's
Yeah.
actually pretty interesting. And then I saw that video that we were also watching today.
For knowing full stack, what did you think of like my explanations? Because I'm pretty sure I use a lot of wrong keywords because I just learned off like on the fly.
I think you were fine, Aman.
Sounded
I mean,
okay.
yeah. You were
Okay.
fine. I could understand almost everything what you were saying. So that's the main thing.
No, that's fine then. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this project editor, a lot of it is, as you can see, like a lot of it. Let me start to try this a little bit more from the top.
Mhm.
A lot of it is the toolbar. This project editor part is really this whole thing, and then the editor part should be this part.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, and toolbar, of course, should be, I think it should be this part. So basically, um, timer. Yeah, I use like a timer to say when the project should be saved after the user stops typing.
Okay.
New project allowed. That checks if they're, you have to be a pro user
Pro user, yeah.
to make a certain number of projects. That's sort of what that checks. Apply transformation. That's the hook to the back end. Static transformation. That's actually, we're not really using it right now, but it was a. Oh no, there is static transformation. Wow, there's so much good stuff buried in here. Static transformation is something that I was working on before Aman's current thing that he's working on to modularize, which allows you to. It's another approach to the same thing, but
Mhm.
it allows you to take a component. You need to have a project with multiple components. Um, so, or things in it, but then you could select one thing and you can actually move it to a new file. So actually
Oh,
create a new file and then move this into it. So that's another, and it does this using without using LLMs.
oh,
Okay. So
oh!
it's
This is. Oh,
this.
I remember you told me about
Yeah,
this. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just an alternative approach, but like, um, but yeah, the way using LLMs is also fine.
Hmm.
The thing is with this, one of the things is that this is good for existing developers. With
Yeah,
the LLM approach, it's like
Yeah.
it kind
It's
of
like
just
for
it's just
those.
a button that you click, yeah, and it
Yeah.
just works.
It's for people who doesn't know the things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this this might be something to come back to later, but not important now. Undo manager, yeah, that gets wiped when you refresh the page. Um, Probably shouldn't. Something to think about in the future. I know Akhilesh, you had mentioned like, yeah, why don't we
Yeah.
have redo? Um, we've got, yeah. So that's just something to possibly think about.
Yeah.
Um,
We can think about
Uh,
it.
I
One
think
more
that's
thing was,
an area of
is the
improvement.
undo manager compatible with multiple files right now?
Yeah, it is, but the undo manager doesn't undo your typing. It just undoes transformations done with the LLM.
Wait, so is static
Yeah.
transformations are into is it in production?
It is, but it's kind of hidden feature.
Okay,
Okay.
so
No one's using it right
okay,
now.
all right.
So it's just
And
like how you showed. Yeah.
so with let's
Okay.
say you make some kind of change with static transformation, basically similar to code modelization. If you make a new file which has some parts of this code, if
Yeah.
we can use undo manager to undo that whole process of creating that new file with the code.
Yeah. So undo manager, it literally just saves, sets a set point in the current project as you have it now. And
Okay.
I do that when we make a transformation. And then the undo
Okay.
button, it just goes back to the last one.
Okay.
Okay.
Ideally, we would have something a little bit better, like what Google Docs has, where it's like, um, where it's just like, I mean, Google Docs I think is a bit too much, but in Google Docs you have, where is it? It's like under file version history. Like this is too much, but you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
ideally you'd be able to browse through something like that. I think V0's approach is also really nice. have you used this? So like for example, you'll be working on a project, and then here on the left side they have this like of your history.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those are just some ideas.
We can probably implement the similar kind of thing in this also.
But yeah, like being able to save your history and go back, and that I think is pretty important.
Yeah, with this.
And and the whole idea of syncing with Git also goes really well with having a history stored. Um, so yeah, this so you have like command bar user, like who's the user right now.
Mm-hmm.
Editor ref, that's going to be used for um, accessing the editor later on. So in this, yeah, apparently, oh, the editor ref, it would be used for when you apply transformation. That's used for scrolling because man, this took me a whole day to figure out how to scroll the editor as the code was being
As a
generated.
code. Okay.
I'm not kidding you. Yeah. In JavaScript, in plain JavaScript text box, this will take me 10 minutes. No, 1 minute, 5 minutes. But this took me a day because, and that's what this. I think that's why this editor ref is here. It's just that we pass it to we pass it to this apply transformation hook, so that when the transformation is happening, it scrolls.
It scrolls. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was worth it.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool to see when it's generating and scrolling.
Yeah.
It makes it alive.
Yeah, plus it makes it look like the whole like generation, the way the UI works right now when code is being
Yeah.
generated makes it look a lot cooler than
Yeah.
like, because it feels like like the AI is working with you
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, and it feels like you're sort of working alongside the UI.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
So yeah, that's probably important to know. Then this part is hooked into Firebase. The use projects, and I think if we go back up here, we'll have hooks projects, and then also probably in the hooks we'll have actually that might be the only thing with Firebase right now, but there's a bunch of stuff in here like okay, yeah, it's just a lot. Okay, there's a lot. But in that use projects, but all of this is just glue that connects to Firebase. All of this whole projects.ts, and these are the um, basic Firebase
Yeah.
building blocks: get doc, stock, update doc, add doc, delete doc. It's just it's just a lot of glue, really. Is it better or worse than using a SQL database? I don't know. I've been using that, and I've used Supabase both for a while. I feel it works pretty well, but there's pros and cons of both.
That's true.
And use Firebase user. Yeah, okay, getting user from Firebase. And if I just scroll down a bit, when the projects finish loading from Firebase, then we check if the project loaded. We check if the ID in the URL corresponds to an existing project,
Mm-hmm.
and then once that's finished, then we load the project into the editor. Before then, it will just have the template in it, or you might have a spinning circle. Create a timer that waits 1 second to save the project. This is sort of every time the project is changed, it sort of throws something into Firebase and updates a reference. Yeah, there's some code for if it's stored in the local storage because you might not be signed in or you might have just signed in.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some code for
So
that's this. That's I guess all of this. Yeah, and then basically when the user signs out, query the current project. That didn't work when I just tested it, so it might be something I have to check on. As you can see, like what looks like a pretty simple thing snowballs pretty fast into something complex. And I think that's sort of the biggest thing that we have to think about is like, how can we create some abstraction here so that this doesn't become crazy complex? A lot of the complexity is literally in just making the editor. But I also think that's a lot of what is really cool about it. So yeah, maybe open sourcing some of this or a lot of this would help because like it's just basic building blocks of an editor. It's nothing
yeah.
super specific of what we're doing.
Also, James, remember we faced this one issue where so we made multiple files after the modularization process. The files that worked offline, but in the editor they were giving errors sometimes. I still face that sometimes. Like I just tried to load an existing project which was
Yeah.
working modularized, and it still didn't work. Sometime I just refresh the page, close it, open it again, and it was working. So do you think the issue is with Sandpack, or what kind of issue do you think that is?
Oh, is it like where you might have like a few characters might be missing?
No, it's okay. So no, it's just like so. I haven't changed anything in the project. The project's the same. It's just multiple files that refer to each other in the IDE. So in the like UI IDE, but sometimes it just shows like that it's not able to refer to. Remember that error we were getting where it was not able to refer to the file, like file
Yeah.
not found in this location.
Yeah.
But that the file was there in that location.
Yeah.
We spent like 30 minutes on this one time, and then it was just we just had to locally load it and it worked. Similar things are happening. Sometimes it's doing that in the IDE.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. That was the first time I came across that error.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's when you kind of told me that maybe the IDE is not built for multiple files, and that's why I asked that to you again if it
oh,
is.
no, I believe that's a bug.
Okay,
There
that's just a bug. Okay.
there was I believe that was just a bug. So we came across a bug where somehow some files were missing. Although
Okay,
they
so
were there.
even though it was looking on the UI, it was visible on the UI, it was missing on where it was running. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I believe that's something that I'll have to debug a bit.
Yeah,
See
yeah.
if we
As soon
can
as it comes up again, I just replicated it, but then it just went away again. So if I am able to get that again, I'll show you.
find a way to reproduce that bug, because
Yeah.
I haven't actually found it. But then again, we weren't testing with adding new files, so that appeared when we started to add new files. And
Might be some issue with Firebase, maybe.
maybe I think it's another hypothesis that I would have, Aman, is you're using the right click add new file, right?
Yeah.
I never used that before.
Oh, that is what we heard. Yeah. That right
So
click add new file.
so you're the only person that's used this and you're the only person that's running into this bug. So
Yeah.
there might be a possibility that I did not implement that properly.
Okay. All
So
right.
what maybe sometime I'll have a look into that. But let me just see
Yeah.
if I can get through this file. So yeah, here there's like the project pop-up, and loading the. Oh no, this is when a new project is clicked. When you click on the file, it loads
Mm-hmm.
all of those files into
Into the Sandpack.
Sandpack. Yeah,
Okay.
and this is like I just had to write some loop that does that. Creating a new project is basically so when you create a new project. Yeah, when you create a new project, it just resets Sandpack. That's pretty much all. When you and then this is the whole interface that gets returned by project editor, which is and then I didn't really do state management well here. I think Akhilesh would have probably, hopefully, some good critical feedback on how I did this. But this basically passes a lot of state variables into a command bar with this context. But I think by using a state library, we could clean this up, possibly.
Yeah, it can be cleaned a little bit.
So that would be pretty interesting. Do you have you used state libraries in React?
Uh, I I've looked into it.
Okay, it's
I've
something
not.
it's something I need to learn as well.
I'm also learning as well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can also ask someone else, and we can maybe also get some external feedback on that. So basically, I'm passing a lot of these are basically just props that are basically getting passed into the command bar.
Mm.
Because there's so much in this command bar. It's just very connected to what's going on in Sandpack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this and then this is for the command. This is all the stuff getting passed into the command bar. Probably should not have just thrown this in here, but there it is. All the menu completions, and then this here is the UI for the some buttons,
Buttons.
and that's it. So I won't go through any more for now because
Yeah.
it's already
It's
a lot.
322 for me.
But I hope it just gives an idea of maybe
Yeah.
the scope of what
I
working
I will
with.
look into it. I will look into everything.
Alright, I'll
And
just if you can just check WhatsApp. I put like some stuff that I remember to note down for the
Yeah.
minutes. So this is keywords. Do you guys remember anything except for this that's important? Just like check WhatsApp once. I just put like one. So main things were like search bar in the projects tab. That's one thing we need to add. One more thing is we need to get like drag drop based UI for project editing. Maybe like we were like not necessarily. Then uploading an existing React project is something we want to implement, and
Mhm.
also highlighting blocks of code by like selecting labels in the UI on the right side,
Yeah.
being able
Yeah.
to highlight that.
Oh
Do you
yeah, I
guys
mean those are all great goals to have. I think honestly, probably one at a time.
But yeah, I'm just like noting it down so we remember these. I'll put these into there. So remember we made a notion where we had all the plans, right? I'll
Yeah,
just put them down there so we
that would
remember.
be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and then on top of, we'll probably have to clean some stuff up in the code along the way, small things
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah.
But I think just cleaning up the code is not very fun. So we should probably. It's good to think
Also
about
have
what's the next
yeah,
feature that we really want to add.
Yeah.
because that's exciting, right? Yeah.
Um,
It is.
cool. So you have to run to a class now.
Yeah. In 5 minutes.
Okay. Cool. Um, yeah. How are you feeling about it? Any thoughts?
I think what you've done as of now is really good, and I also need to look into everything thoroughly now that I understand a lot of things.
Cool.
So then I'll have a proper feedback
Yeah,
on
sure.
the things. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Always welcome to make videos as well. If on any topic, if something, even if it's just like a question, like how does this work? We find that helps
Mhm.
a lot, especially when we can't do like a sync call, maybe because of time zone or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm happy to do these calls whenever as well. So
Yeah.
good.
So, well, so as of now, what are your expectations from me? Like, I will look into it,
Yeah,
look into the code and everything, but then,
I think probably um, take some time, see what makes sense to you in the code base that I just showed you.
hmm
You can always go back over this recording as well.
yeah,
And then the next time that we talk, we should maybe set some sort of goals
yeah,
um, as to what features do we think are the most important,
yeah,
to add. Like, what do we think is going to make this really useful for people? Because honestly, right now, people use it, they enjoy it, they play around with it, they mess around with it, but I don't. But it's right now, it's not like a core part of anyone's development workflow.
yeah,
Yeah, I
And
mean, we should think of how we can like let's say people develop React projects. Let's say they have their own complete flow of developing it from end to end. We should try and find a way to fit GitWit into that someplace in the middle, so that
yeah,
way they can just so that way they come back and use the tool basically. So we get attention of people who think it's an essential part to their development process. So we kind of want to add into their flow of how they would develop the React project. Maybe not
yeah,
end to end right now because it's a lot to have the entire full stack or like most of the features that we talked about in the short run. But if we can add features which allows them to like just put blocks or modularized code into this, then that would like help people use it more.
right. Yeah. So we want to do some serious brainstorming on what's the simplest thing
yeah,
we can do
Yeah.
that people will find useful. It might even be something very different. Like, for example, like if you said to me, actually, I think we should make a VS Code extension that does this one thing.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
If you say that to me, I'll be like, yeah, okay. If it's easy to try, that's fine. Like, just because a lot of stuff has been invested into this interface doesn't mean we cannot experiment in another area as well.
Mm.
Now, one more thing is, James, do you know, like, are you in touch with people who are using the tool right now? Like, apart from us, like, people who actively use the tool, do you have, apart from the Discord, do you have people who would be more actively responding to, like, questions that we have about the product?
Um, there's a lot more. There's a lot of people trying it. There's not a lot that are giving regular
Mm.
Yeah.
feedback. But
Yeah.
I can send out an email. I
Yeah, I
can
mean,
send,
it would be great if we could. So let's say we have a brainstorming session, think of a list of features that we want to add in,
yeah,
like range them in the order of
yeah,
easy to how fast we can implement them, and then like roll them out as forms to people, or
yeah,
like get inputs on what is the most
yeah,
demanded feature out of all of them. And maybe if you have someone that's close, that's also like a full stack developer, we could get them on a call with us, discuss or
yeah,
tell them our ideas and see what is most exciting to them, where they can like fit Gitbit into their development process.
yeah, yeah. I do have some notes as well from some calls that I've done with devs, and I'd say that we have touched on a lot of important things.
Okay.
I think the main thing is going to be like how do we make big gains with limited complexity increase. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, it's hard to, it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Should I think we should brainstorm pretty soon though. Like let's say
Yeah,
maybe within the next week we
Yeah,
should brainstorm on ideas.
sure, let's do it. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know you probably have to go, but
yeah.
first we got, let me just read off the last of our comments here. How to
Yeah.
hack Gmail.
All
uh,
right.
Not today. Why you two recommend this to me?
Great.
I came across your video on YouTube and just wanted to say you're doing great.
I got a connection request from one of the people in our streams on LinkedIn right
Amazing.
now. I
Well,
think
I think you're
Rajat.
doing. I agree. I think you're doing great.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks a lot, everyone. This has been really fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thank you. I'll take a leave now.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye. Also, James, do you have 5 minutes?
Yeah, but yeah. Hang on. Let me just end
I
this.
just wanted to ask about. Remember the thing we discussed about doing